The morning sun glittered across the skyline of New Haven City, bouncing off mirrored skyscrapers and rolling over lines of black sedans that carried people who measured time in profit margins. Among them was Adrian Cole, 38 years old, CEO of Cole Dynamics, one of the fastest-growing tech firms in the region. His phone buzzed with constant notifications, meetings lined up from dawn to dusk, and not a single minute left for error. Yet today, his world was about to tilt, not because of a failed deal, but because of a small, sleepy voice from the back seat. "Daddy, is this the new school?" Adrian glanced in the rearview mirror at Ella, his 7-year-old daughter. Her dark curls framed her big hazel eyes that still searched the world for her late mother's reflection. He smiled faintly, distracted. "Yes, sweetheart. Brookdale Academy. Your first day. You'll love it." But in his rush, Adrian didn't notice the GPS error, a single digit mistyped in the address. Instead of Brookdale Academy, he was pulling up to Brookfield Community School, an underfunded public elementary across town. The parking lot was cracked. The paint on the swings had peeled off. A group of kids ran past in mismatched uniforms, laughing loudly. It was far from the polished campus he'd paid for. He muttered, frowning. "This doesn't look right." But before he could double-check, a gentle voice interrupted. "Hi there. You must be Ella's dad." Adrian turned and froze. A young woman stood by the gate, holding a clipboard. She was in her late 20s, her hair pulled back in a loose bun, her eyes bright but tired, the kind of tiredness that comes from giving everything you have to others. "I'm Miss Aria Lawson, first grade," she said with a warm smile. "We're so happy to have Ella join us." Ella looked up at her father expectantly, clutching her backpack. Adrian hesitated. He opened his mouth to explain, to correct the mistake, but when he saw Ella's excitement. "Thank you," he said finally, forcing a polite smile. "She's a bit shy, but I'm sure she'll do fine." Sun behind small cloud, a different kind of classroom. Inside, the classroom wasn't sleek or modern. The desks were old, the walls lined with hand-drawn posters, and sunlight streamed through a cracked window covered in paper snowflakes. Adrian noticed the missing supplies, broken crayons, fading books. He felt out of place here, his designer suit a sharp contrast to the modest surroundings. But Miss Lawson's energy filled the room like sunlight. She greeted each child by name, knelt to tie a loose shoelace, and listened like every word mattered. When she crouched to talk to Ella, her voice softened. "You like drawing?"
Ella naditschaili.
"Well," Arya smiled, "then you and I are going to be good friends. We have art time after reading." Adrian stood at the door longer than he meant to. For the first time in years, someone besides him made his daughter smile, really smile. Maybe this mistake wasn't so bad after all. Cloud with Rain, the CEO, and the chalkboard. Later that afternoon, Adrian returned to pick Ella up. But what he saw made him pause. The classroom was empty except for Arya, kneeling beside a leaking radiator, trying to catch dripping water with a metal bucket. Her hands were smudged with chalk and dust. "Need a hand?" he asked. She looked up, startled. "Oh, Mr. Cole. I didn't expect." "Adrian's fine," he interrupted, setting down his briefcase. "That thing looks ancient." "It is," she said with a small laugh. "Half our heating system barely works. The district says they'll review it next year." He frowned. "That's unacceptable. You shouldn't have to teach in these conditions." She shrugged. "The kids don't care. They just need someone to believe in them." That line lingered with him. They just need someone to believe in them. As they fixed the radiator together, Adrian caught himself smiling. It had been years since he'd done something so ordinary, something real. Sunrise, the spark of something good. Over the next week, the mistake continued. Adrian never got around to fixing the school enrollment, and Ella didn't want to leave. "Miss Arya says I'm really good at painting," she'd tell him every night. "She says Mommy would be proud." That sentence hit him like a wave. Ella barely spoke about her mother anymore, and yet somehow, this young teacher had managed to reach her in ways he hadn't. So Adrian started visiting more often, dropping off supplies, helping fix broken shelves, even sponsoring new books for the library. He didn't tell anyone he was a CEO. To them, he was just Ella's dad who helps. "And Arya?" She noticed. But she didn't pry. Instead, one afternoon, she simply said, "I don't know who you really are, Adrian. But I do know one thing, you care. And that matters more than any title." He looked at her, truly looked, and for the first time in a long while, he felt seen. Not as a CEO, but as a father trying his best. Crescent Moon, the letter. That night, Adrian found a crayon drawing in Ella's backpack, a picture of her, Arya, and him holding hands in front of the school. Above it, in bright pink letters, Ella had written, "My two favorite people who make me feel safe." He stared at it for a long time. In the quiet of his penthouse apartment, surrounded by glass and silence, he realized something painfully clear. All the money, power, and success in the world couldn't replace the warmth of connection. And maybe, just maybe, this wrong school had led him exactly where he was meant to be.